Today I'm watching the Twilight Zone Season 2, Episode 17. The previous episode was about this bank clerk who could read people's minds, and he thinks a coworker is planning to rob the bank, but we find out, human nature. People often think things but don't necessarily act on them. In the previous episode, we saw that this episode would be about a morgue, a hospital setting. We had Rod Serling standing in front of these doors, and he mentioned the number 22. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what this is all about. I don't really have any predictions because it's a number. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how that's going to come into play with the episode. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you want to see exclusive content from this episode, be sure to join Patreon. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And check back often for more awesome content. The hospital setting is immediately making me think of like Eye of the Beholder as well. Does she have like a doll? Okay. Yeah, I'm curious why there's so many stuffed animals in her room. Yeah, and she seems very nervous, like waking up in cold sweats, like she wasn't sleeping well, so very curious to see where we're gonna go. Yeah, and not being able to see the face of the person as they close the door on the elevator, yeah, definitely reminded me of Eye of the Beholder. Why is she going into the morgue? 22, yeah, there it is. That's the room number.
Room for one more, honey.
Oh my god, that's terrifying. Oh my god, this nurse. Terrifying.
A problem uncommon, perhaps, but rather peculiar to the Twilight Zone.
Da 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 da. Yes, I love that he has his little on-camera speaking parts in the episode now. Okay, yeah. Nightmare becoming reality, reality becoming nightmare. Yeah, curious. Curious indeed. And that we have another actress as a main character as well. He had mentioned, she'd been checked in for exhaustion. So we've seen that a few times before. So curious to see, where that's going to go this time.
I had it blown up. Huh? Well, we'll get it blown up real big, and we'll put it in front of the Chi-Chi when you open there.
Oh, dancer instead of actress. Okay, yes, I remember.
And the only time the sun shines is when it's visiting hours.
Gee, kitten, what a mind you got.
Yeah, I imagine it would be pretty lonely.
You're the only one. They aren't dreams. They happen.
Yeah.
Just like...
Okay, he knows about them? Okay, interesting.
Bonnie, don't. Don't write me off, will you? You gotta believe me.
So sad. Yeah, it doesn't sound like she has many other people she can call.
Make me wish the same thing. You must be great at funerals, laughing boy.
We're a little feisty.
I love it. Yes, tell him what's up.
Like we were some kind of a freak or something. Why don't you guys get off the dime? There's nothing wrong with me.
And he seems more interested in her appearance than like her, actual health.
She's the best little stripper that ever...
Dancer
that ever came down the pike.
For 12 years. What? That's a long time.
As a matter of fact, I don't know it. I know quite the reverse. I say it is a dream.
But she obviously thinks that they're real, that they're actually happening to her.
You reach for the glass. You hear the clock ticking loudly.
Very loudly.
Yeah, I thought she had like a metronome in there or something. And she's having this reoccurring nightmare.
Down at the end of the hall, there's a room. Room 22.
Is he surprised? Is he trying to hide that he knows about what's going on?
At her and says, room for one more, honey.
Which is terrifying and so creepy.
Weird dream.
It isn't a dream.
Miss Powell claims it's one of our nurses assigned to the basement floor.
And the fact that she remembers all of it.
I know her face as well as I do my own.
Very well. Let's see.
Yeah, like this seems so bizarre. You don't usually remember your dreams and like so clearly, and that happens over and over and over again. Oh my God.
That young lady. And since it is not, you'll have to admit it's very unlikely.
Or are they just, trying to disprove her theory because she's right and they don't want people to know about what she knows about this room? And
Don't reach for the glass. See if breaking the routine a bit won't stop it from happening.
yeah, does she have control over it? Can she actually alter things in the dream?
When the same thing happens to you for 6 nights in a row.
Overwork, fatigue, tiredness.
Clearly they're not believing her. They think it's just stress and that she just needs to rest, but she can't rest because she keeps having this dream.
Well, Miss Powell, let's see what this evening brings, shall we?
Yeah, that's a very curious approach, just being like, we'll try and change something, and, the study of dreams and how, much weight you put into it.
You couldn't boost morale if it weighed 1/4 pound and you had a derrick. Thanks for coming over.
I like her sass. Yeah, she's like,
Do it again sometime. Only make it next year, will you?
Oh, kitten, baby.
Get out, will you, Bonnie?
yeah, he's just here to be like, so when can you go back to work? When are you good? And she's like, I actually have a real problem here I'm trying to sort out, so.
To sleep. I think we're on our way to recovery.
I don't trust this guy one bit.
Delighted that we feel that way.
I think that guy's up to no good. I think she did stumble into something she's not supposed to, and he's trying to cover it up. Maybe this nurse doesn't work at the hospital. I have no idea. And yeah, I'm very curious. Because I feel like a doctor's instructions will be like, we'll give you a sedative or something to help you sleep through the night, as opposed to be like, well, next time you have this horrible nightmare, just try not to do the same things. Like, what? Is she sleepwalking? Yeah. And now she drops the lighter instead, which is gonna knock over the glass. Oh my God. Yeah, it happened again. Yeah, you've started the chain of events. There's the footsteps. Yeah. But it is interesting to see that she has some kind of control over it, like lucid dreaming almost. She can, manage her actions and obviously remembers everything. Because it sounds like as soon as the nurse says that line, she wakes up. So we never see her go in to room 22. So yeah, I'm curious if she starts trying different variations of the dream and what happens.
Room for one more, honey.
Yep. And exactly like we just saw it happens. Yeah, she's getting out of there as quick as possible.
Don't leave her until she's asleep.
This poor girl, clearly traumatized and nobody believes her, which we've seen before too, people who are, in these situations having to convince other people that it's real and trying to convince them what's going on.
Room 22.
Room 22? Well, if she'd never been there, how would she know?
Exactly, so clearly she's been there before. Yes, now maybe he's starting to believe her because she has, that specific piece of information.
Everything packed?
That does it.
Your agent is here. He said to phone down to the lobby when you're ready. He'll meet you at the...
Okay, she's just leaving now? What's going on?
Miss Powell, the next time I see you, I'll be at a ringside table, and I'd appreciate a subtle wink.
This guy sucks. She's like, oh, great. Can't wait for that interaction. I definitely don't think her dreams have stopped. I think she just got better at admitting it and tried to hide it.
5 minutes. Your seat assignment's on the envelope there.
Thank you very much.
Well, I feel like it's going to be seat 22 or something.
I didn't mean to stare.
Forget it. Is that area C out there?
Yes, ma'am. Flight 22 is loading now, and you can get aboard anytime.
Yeah, flight 22. I thought maybe her seat would be A22 or something, but it's the flight number.
What flight?
22. Non-stop to Miami, right out through that door. You can board now.
Is this where Final Destination got its start? Yeah, I feel like she's just predicted her own death or something's gonna bad happen with the plane.
I'm awake. It's that same feeling. But I'm awake. This isn't a dream.
Yeah, she's hearing the clock and stuff too that she had. Yeah. Oh, and there's a glass break, and then she's gonna hear the footsteps. Yeah, she's definitely awake for this one. Yeah, she can't just say, oh, it was a dream, you know, like I'm just tired or stressed, and there's the footsteps.
Your flight ready for departure out there.
Don't get on the plane. It's gonna end badly. Don't do it. Come on. Come on, you gotta trust your gut. You gotta, you know, figure out a different way. And just the shot of her, yeah, looking down on the stairs as she boards the plane. We've had an episode about train stations and bus stations and stuff before too, but... oh, don't get on it.
Room for one more, honey.
That's her! That's the line! Run! Run away! Oh my god, run away! Yeah, she wasn't a nurse. She's the flight attendant. Everybody's gonna think she's lost her mind. Yep, run! And now everybody else is gonna be like, okay, sure, you had a dream, you saw something, yeah, I feel like something bad's gonna happen to this flight.
Just couldn't be.
Oh my god, it just, yep, the whole thing's on fire. Yeah, she was right. Definitely give me Final Destination. Yes.
Hospital diagnosis, acute anxiety brought on by overwork and fatigue.
She can see the future.
You look for it under potions for bad dreams, to be found in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it was a warning. It was telling her not to get on that flight, and obviously for good reason. So that was my first time watching The Twilight Zone, Season 2, Episode 17, this number 22 episode. Obviously, we see how important that is at the end of our episode. I enjoyed this episode. It definitely reminded me of the Eye of the Beholder episode, which obviously also took place in a hospital. And when we have that first, few scenes when we have the nurse get into the elevator and we don't see her face and the door closes, I was like, oh no, like, are we doing, something similar along those lines? We've seen a few similar plots within Twilight Zone, but never a direct, repeat of an episode. So I didn't think it would be exactly the same, but I thought maybe we're going to do like hospital corruption, something like that. Like the doctor I thought might be up to no good. The nurse I thought might be up to no good, because just given the way she delivered, of course, that line, oh, there's room for one more. Like, it wasn't, threatening her at all, but it was very much like, if something happens, like, I'll be right here, like, don't worry. Just this very impending doom and, chilling delivery in that line. It was so perfect for that. And I couldn't imagine how terrifying that would be if you just, in the middle of the night, walked into this hospital morgue and somebody opens it up and says that to you. Like, I would probably also run away screaming. Like, that would be so creepy and terrifying. And when we first hear her tell the story to the doctor, the expression on his face, I couldn't tell if it was him being like, oh, how does she know about this? Or it was more like, she's crazy. And we've seen that before in Twilight Zone episodes where people don't really believe what's going on. And usually the character gets frustrated and kind of just goes in circles, which we did see a little bit happen. But I definitely wasn't expecting her to leave the hospital in this episode. I thought the whole episode would take place there. And, when she packs up to leave, in no way did I think that her dreams and nightmares had actually stopped. I think she's just realized that no one's really believing her. No one's really there to help her. Even to hear the doctor being super creepy and being like, oh, I'm going to sit ringside because, we find out that she's a stripper. So now he's going to go like see her dance. And he's like, oh, save a special wink for me. And even, when Barney comes in, the first thing he says is like, oh, you look beautiful. He's not asking like, how are you? He's not, commenting on her health or like, how are you feeling? It's all about her appearance. Same with the doctor, obviously wanting to see more of her. Even when she's at the airport, filling out some paperwork, the guy next door, she makes a comment that he's staring at her again. And you could tell the frustration she was having with that aspects of it. And I think that kind of, relayed to her hospital visit as well. I think she could figure out, pretty early on that nobody was believing her. Nobody was, really interested in trying to help her. The doctor's only advice I thought was interesting, because like I said, I imagine a doctor would be like, oh, you're having trouble sleeping, you just need rest, you're tired, you're anxious, like you've been overworked, we'll give you a sedative to help you sleep through the night that'll knock you out. I would have imagined that would kind of been more like the medical response, as opposed to being like, oh, you're having dreams, that's interesting, why don't you try not knocking over the glass in your dream. Like that felt more of like a psychologist approach, or like something like that, to try and take control of the dream, which I think is very fascinating as well, but definitely not an answer I thought a doctor would give. So that's why I was like, is he in on this? Is room 22 not a morgue? Like, is it just a cover for something? Like, I was definitely thinking we were going to go more along those lines. And then we have, you know, our final act or third act when she gets to the airport and all these same things start happening. The glass, the footsteps. She's on flight 22. You know, like I said, I thought maybe it would be seat 22 or something like that. And then, of course, you know, if you've seen the Final Destination movies, the first one definitely includes a plane. So I'm assuming that's where they got their inspiration from, because that came out obviously much later. And it's, you know, very similar plot. But yeah, I really like this story, this concept of her having these premonitions, and obviously it not making sense until, you know, she gets to that final moment. And I was worried she was actually going to board the plane because she was walking up the steps, which I thought was a really cool shot. And then, of course, as we see the flight attendant, we're like, oh, yes, this makes perfect sense. And even the way the flight attendant was looking at her, I was like, is the flight attendant going to be responsible for what happens to the plane? Because I think it was, at that point to me, it felt pretty obviously that something bad was going to happen on this flight. I didn't know what, but I was like, is the flight attendant going to start something? Because she had this evil grin on her face and just this look in her eyes of like, very menacing, and, you know, very much like, I'm gonna cause some trouble. And I'm so glad she didn't get on. And obviously, as soon as we see the plane, you know, start to go down the tarmac, it gets into trouble and explodes, which I thought was pretty crazy because we haven't seen a ton of big effects like that in Twilight Zone. So yeah, I'm very curious how they did that. And just to obviously see her trying to explain to the people in the airport, you know, I'm not getting on the plane. I don't know if she got to the dream part, but, you know, she's obviously very scared and panicked and crying. And of course, then when the plane explodes, I think it just kind of set in how real this is and that she was having truly premonitions. But unfortunately, that event needs to take place to prove that she's having those premonitions. So yeah, and I'm glad she wasn't on it. It made me wonder if there's been times she's had other premonitions in her life, or what kind of trigger this, because usually people who have this, you know, kind of sense, or, you know, these dreams that have clearly obviously some kind of weight to them, it's happened before. So maybe that's why she's finally like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, trust my instincts. And maybe she thought going to the doctor would help, and obviously that wasn't the case. I thought the performances were really good as always. Everybody was super convincing, and yeah, great performance by the actress who played Elizabeth as well, this dancer. It didn't sound like she had like a big circle of friends or anything like that. The only people who come to see her are her agent, and he's basically there to check up, you know, how she's doing so that she can get back to work and start making more money. And, you know, she kind of scolds him for that and yells at him, be like, oh, I guess I'll see you next year. Like, you're not even gonna come in and check on me again. I think dreams are so fascinating and such an interesting concept for an episode as well. And it also makes me think she was in the hospital because of the dreams, but if she wasn't in that spot, she wouldn't have needed to get on the flight to go back to Miami, you know? So that's interesting. If that's what I understand, is that she flew to this hospital to get some rest, or maybe she was already in town and was going back to Miami to do a show or do some work. I'm not too sure, but it definitely felt like she was in this town to be at the hospital and then was flying home again. And of course, if she hadn't needed to go to the hospital, she wouldn't have had to get on the plane. And yeah, just kind of how that's connected. I thought the soundtrack was really good. The music score was super creepy and menacing. And yeah, this definitely felt like almost like a short horror film, which again, I feel like definitely influenced, you know, the Final Destination, at least the first one. You know, obviously there is many more now. And I love that we got to see her, you know, realize that, okay, this isn't a dream, this is real life, like I'm not sleeping. And again, the exact same events occur, and her, you know, kind of putting those pieces together, and the audience, you know, realizing, okay, what's going on? Like, you know, you're not in the hospital, you're not in your bed, like these things, you know, not a water glass breaking, but still glass breaking, and still the footsteps, everybody around. And of course, the iconic line was, you know, the final piece. She's like, okay, clearly, like maybe the other actions she could have written off as coincidence or something like that, because we do see her, you know, hand over her ticket and start to climb those stairs. But then as soon as she sees that face, you know, she said she would recognize it anywhere, and she's seen, 6 nights in a row or 7 nights maybe at this point, and that definitely, is the final straw. She's like, no, I'm not going anywhere near this. Overall, I thought it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. Super creepy. I love the idea of these, premonitions and dreams and the meaning behind them, and trying to convey to someone in a medical profession what your dreams are and how it's affecting you, and like obviously finding out later on the importance of it. The next episode we know also involves this flight from London to New York, the Odyssey of Flight 33. So yeah, I'm very curious to see where that's gonna go. We've had a few episodes with trains and bus stations and stuff like that before, so now we're introducing planes as well. But I really enjoyed this episode, so thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for TV shows you think I should watch, please comment below, and as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. And he seems more interested in her appearance than like her actual health. Yeah, I thought she had like a metronome in there or something, and that's, yeah, she's having this reoccurring nightmare. Yeah, I thought she had like a metronome in there or something, and that's, yeah, she's having this reoccurring nightmare. Yeah, does she have control over it? Can she actually alter things in the dream? There's the footsteps, yeah.